Hi everyone. Happy Thursday. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. I'm Coach Erin and I'm here today to talk to you about the keto diet. This is a diet that's been for quite a few years now. It's been a diet that a lot of people have tried, like all around the world. People have been jumping on the keto diet. It has had immense popularity. Um, there's been reports of people having really amazing results in terms of weight loss, in terms of the keto diet, increased energy. So it really is something that's worked for a lot of people. And I want to dive in today into that, why it works for people, what's actually going on with the keto diet. So if you're on it or if you're thinking about going on it, so you can understand sort of the mechanics of it a little bit more. But I also am going to talk today about why it might not actually be the best option for most people and what you should do instead. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All things keto, what's good about it, why it works, why it's maybe not the best option for most people, and what you can be doing instead. So I'd really love it if you could watch to the end of this video so you can learn all about that. But also I have a special deal bonus for you at the end of the video. So watch to the end, okay? And I know you're all crazy busy people, so let's just dive in and get started on it right away. Let me pull up my notes here. So the ketogenic diet is characterized by, all it is a reduction in carbohydrate intake. So typically in a typical keto diet, you're asked to eat less than 50 grams of carbohydrates a day. And in conjunction with that, you increase your fat consumption. So it's a high fat, low carbohydrate diet. So this causes your body to go into a state of ketosis. And in essence, the body begins to burn fat for fuel instead of relying on carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is the preferred energy source for bodies, and it is the energy source most of us really rely on. Carbohydrates for fuel to have energy, and potentially many of us rely too heavily on carbohydrates. Training your body essentially to be able to burn carbohydrates or fat for fuel is a really good thing to do. A lot of us are stuck in a place where we really only are burning carbohydrates, unless of course you've been on the keto diet, and then you're mostly just burning fat, right? So let's talk about why. That's sort of how the keto diet works. Let's talk about why this leads to weight loss for many, because it does. It is so many people, and maybe you're one of them, have had great success on the keto diet. So the reason it leads to weight loss is, number one, is appetite suppression. So consuming higher proportion of fats and proteins than carbohydrates tends to make you feel fuller longer, which leads to a reduction in your overall calories consumed. Studies suggest that people on a keto diet often feel less hungry. So if you feel less hungry, you're inclined to eat less often. So you're going to eat less overall. So that's number one. Number two, and this is in regards to a lot of people when they go on the keto diet, they have at the beginning and like in the first couple weeks, they have a huge weight loss in a short period of time. And that is actually water weight. So individuals on the keto diet often in the initial period is that initial big drop in weight is due to a loss of water weight, not fat. And this is really important to understand. So carbohydrates in the body bind with water molecules. So you have carbs in your body, they bind with water, so your body holds on to that water. And when carbs are restricted, we tend to store less water, and that excess water is then released. So that's what accounts for the immediate rapid weight loss when people go on keto, and it's really crucial to recognize that it's not synonymous with long-term fat loss. So it can be misleading, that initial big drop. So the third reason that keto works is because it actually changes your metabolism. Most of us, as I mentioned earlier, predominantly use glucose from carbohydrates as a fuel source. But on the keto diet, we switch to a different fuel called ketones. I'm not going to get into the deep, dark science of this. If you want to know more about ketones, just Google it. But that switch is good for losing weight because it helps our body use up stored fat for energy. So when we switch from relying on carbohydrates as a fuel source to fat and go into ketosis, we tend to use that stored fat, the fat cells from our body that our body has accumulated, for energy. So it's like unlocking a storage room full of extra energy, which is what fat is. It's stored energy from our body. Also, when we eat, our body releases insulin to move glucose into cells. So carbohydrates become glucose, otherwise known as blood sugar, and then our body releases insulin to move that glucose or energy into our cells so our muscles can work and our brain can work. With the keto diet, then, because we're eating so few carbohydrates, we need to produce less insulin. This is why it can be a really great diet for people who have insulin resistance or diabetes. So when we produce less insulin, our insulin levels go down, and this, long story short, this helps our body break down even more fat. So in simple terms, the keto diet teaches your body to use a different fuel, to metabolize food differently, and this change helps us burn stored fat, making it easier to lose weight. So the keto diet, some would consider a fad diet. I wouldn't quite consider it a fad diet because it does have, it was actually developed for specific medical issues and things like that. So there is a time and a place, absolutely, for keto diets. But let's just talk about it for a second here in the sort of realm of fad diets. So all fad diets that work, that deliver quick results, at least in the beginning, have a few things in common, and keto can be grouped with the fad diets in these things. So the initial success of all diets sort of can be attributed to the following factors. That calorie deficit. So as mentioned before, keto diets can lead to people consuming fewer calories than they did before going on the diet. So most fad diets, including keto, introduce that caloric deficit, which means the number of calories eaten is lower than the number of calories used. Basically, if you think about weight loss and you think about the food into your body is energy, if you don't use all of that energy, it must be stored. We don't just pee it out. I wish we did, but we don't. We store it, and we store it as fat, okay? So that means the fundamental principle of weight loss is if you eat less than you use, you will lose weight. That's the fundamental like baseline of weight loss. There are other factors, but we need to understand this because it is important and it does play a significant role in the success of any diet plan. So put simply, when you go on a fad diet, chances are you're going to be eating fewer calories than you were before, and if you're successfully losing weight consistently, then you are definitely burning more calories than you're eating. This is what fat diets do. This is implicit in a diet, right? In a diet. So the second reason that all these fad diets work, including the keto diet, is there's almost always a reduction of junk food and processed food. So people who embark on fad diets, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, they reduce their intake of junk and processed foods. Whether it's cutting out sugary snacks or sodas or highly processed meals, there is a shift towards wholer foods, more nutrient-dense foods, and this often contributes to the initial success seen on the scale. And it definitely contributes to that sense of just feeling better. You'll hear a lot of people saying when they go on the keto diet or other fad diets, I just feel better, I have so much more energy, I sleep better, all of these, I just am feeling so much better. Often this is because you're no longer relying on junk food and processed food to make you feel full, which are the foods that contain like next to no nutrients. So they make you feel crappy, and your body does not run efficiently when you're surviving on junk and processed food. The third reason that fad diets often work is psychological. So trying a new diet, when you start a new diet in the beginning, often we're really excited, right? We're excited about doing it. We feel pumped. We've made the choice to do it. We've committed to it. We've made the choice to commit to ourselves. We want to stick to it. We're excited, right? It's when you start something new, you feel jazzed, you feel motivated. And so at first, people will really follow the diet rules and see success because you're following the rules. If you follow the rules, it works. But for the majority of people, it's really hard to keep following strict diet rules for a long period of time. The rest of the world is not following the same diet rules as you. So when you go to social functions, when you go to the staff room at work, there's always temptation. It's everywhere. When you're watching TV or YouTube or on social media, there's people cooking things that you're not allowed to eat, trying to get you to buy things that you're not allowed to eat. You're constantly faced with temptation. So it's really hard to maintain these strict diet rules for a long time. And sustaining them, it really is, let's be honest, ladies, it really is impossible for most people to stick to long term. If you are not one of these people, if you've been on the keto diet for 3 years and you have no problem sticking to the rules, let me know in the comments. I'm very curious about this. If you're someone who has tried keto, has tried other diets, and this has been sort of consistently your downfall, where you can do it for, a couple months, a couple weeks, and then you just fall off the wagon, it doesn't work, the weight comes back on. Let me know in the comments if that's been your experience. I'm curious. So for most people, what happens is they're excited, they follow keto is a very, very strict diet. It's a very strict diet regime, right? So for most, it works for some people, it works for them in the beginning, but they simply can't stick to it. And when you return to your old way of eating, for most people, the weight comes back on. Often it comes back on with even more weight than you had before. And there's reasons for that. We're not going to get into that today. The thing about these strict diets is that they don't, because you're just given a really, here's the rules, follow the rules. There's no learning in that about actually how to eat healthy in a long-term sustainable way. There's no learning in that about what it is what your body needs, because what a 55-year-old body needs is very different from what a 30-year-old body needs, right? So we have to look at where we are in our life. We have to look at our unique situations, and we have to learn how to create healthy habits in our lives, and just following strict rules doesn't do any of that. So those are sort of the psychological factors involved in keto and why it works and kind of why it doesn't work in the long run. So the question is, ultimately, and I get asked this all the time, should I go keto? Should I stay on keto? What's up? It's worked for my sister. It's worked for everyone in my life. What should I do? Well, while the keto diet and other fad diets do provide quick weight loss for most people, they do. I'm not going to lie to you. It will almost undoubtedly work for you. For most, it is not long lasting. So sustainable long-term weight management involves a balanced, nutritious diet, regular physical movement, stress management, and a larger overall holistic approach to well-being and health. So that's not really what any fad diet is, including keto. So long-term weight loss and good health requires, like I just said, learning what healthy habits are for you, and incorporating them into your life in a way that is sustainable. And in fact, and I just want to go through this really quickly because it's important to acknowledge, there are actually some long-term, really negative impacts of the keto diet. So if you're on the keto diet now and it's working for you, that is fantastic. You also need to be aware that staying on the keto diet, on a low-carb, high-fat diet for long periods of time, there's some negative health implications. More and more of these are sort of surfacing. The first is that you're in a nutritional deficiency state. So because keto limits intake of carbohydrates, it can potentially lead to nutritional deficiencies. So certain vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So these are things that there's certain vitamins and minerals that we get mostly from fruits and vegetables and whole grains, and definitely dietary fiber, which is so important for brain health. I know it sounds weird, right? It's so important for gut health, which is why it's important for your brain health. It's so important for your cardiac health. It's so important. It's so important for your hormonal health to make sure that you are getting enough fiber. It greatly reduces risks of hormonal cancers if you're getting enough fiber. So when you're if you have a family history of hormonal breast cancers and you're on the keto diet, you're potentially doing yourself a great disservice, because making sure you get enough dietary fiber is really important in sort of keeping that cancer at bay. So it also has a really big impact on gut health. So diet's low fiber content can affect sort of the composition of your gut microbiome. So all the bugs that live in there, which are really, really important for digestion. They're important for immune function. Again, it's back to this fiber. Our guts need fiber to be healthy. This is important for so many functionings of the body. And the keto diet contains very little fiber, so it can have a really negative impact on long-term gut health, which impacts the rest of the body. The keto diet also can negatively impact your liver and kidney function. So it puts an increased load on the liver. Again, back to that ketosis. I'm not going to get into that. A lot of that happens in the liver, but the liver is responsible for metabolizing fats during ketosis. So your liver's kind of working overtime when you're on a keto diet. And this can potentially impact liver function. And there are some studies coming out now that are raising some concerns about the diet's effect on kidney health as well, particularly in people who have pre-existing kidney conditions or familial histories of kidney conditions. So if you fall into that category, this is not a diet you want to go on long term. Bone health. So some studies coming out there are suggesting that there's a potential link between long-term adherence to the ketogenic diet and reduction in bone mineral density, which especially for women, this is important. As we age, our density decreases in our bones. This leads to osteopenia, osteoporosis, something we want to avoid. And then, of course, I talked about this already, but adherence challenges. So sustaining a strict keto diet over the long term is challenging for most people, and it does not teach you the skills of developing a healthy lifestyle, right? And this is ultimately what we want to do. We weren't taught this in health class in high school, at least I wasn't. If you talk to any doctor and ask them how many hours of nutrition training they did in medical school, most of them will say 0. It was an option. They didn't have to do it. So this is not something that we are learning in our lives from school. It's not something we're learning from our medical system. And so this is something we have to take upon ourselves to develop healthy lifestyles and healthy eating habits. And the ketogenic diet, it just doesn't do that. And so sticking to it long term is really difficult. And if you've experienced this when you go off the keto diet, did the weight come back on? It does for most people. Let me know in the comments if it did for you, if you've tried this. So let's kind of like wrap this all up, right? So at the end of the day, keto works for most people. Lots of fat diets work for most people, but are they the answer? And I would say, I have a background in nutrition. I am a health and wellness coach. I help women lose weight. I help women get healthy. And in my experience, what I've experienced is that keto and other fat diets are not the answer. Of course, how and what you eat is always your choice. It's always the choice of the individual. But I would argue that the long-term negative health impacts of keto and the reliance on sort of unreasonable and really that restricted eating make it a short-term fix. And it's not something that I do recommend to my clients, if I'm honest. So in the pursuit of long-term health and wellness, that's what I'm always working towards with my clients, is we're looking for like, how do we create a lifestyle that you live for the rest of your life that allows you to keep at your ideal weight, allows you to feel energetic, allows you to feel good for like the rest of your life, right? So in the pursuit of that goal, which my opinion is that that should always be the goal, it is essential to move beyond quick fix diets and to embrace that more holistic approach that I've mentioned a couple times. So while diets like keto and sort of other low carb options do promise rapid results, they often fulfill on that promise. Those potential long-term impacts, I'm not comfortable with that, and it doesn't work in the long term. And we always want to do the best for our bodies with a long-term vision, okay? And that's cultivating habits that are both nourishing and sustainable. So basically what I'm saying is I want you to eat carbohydrates, okay? I really want you to eat carbohydrates. That's not me saying here like, go out and buy the Safeway cake and eat the whole thing and, you know, stop at Tim Hortons on the way home and eat 12 Timbits. That's not what I'm saying. And yes, those are carbohydrates. And yes, you can eat those things sometimes. Maybe not the whole Safeway cake, maybe just a whole, like a little square. Anyway, so then the question becomes, if I'm saying, eat your carbohydrates, please, they're actually really good for you, they're necessary. The question becomes, how do you do that in a healthful manner that allows you to lose or maintain a healthy weight, and still enjoy food and feel like it's something that you could do for the rest of your life? Well, you have to empower yourself with knowledge to make dietary choices that help you lose weight, that help you regain health in a sustainable, lifelong approach. So it's about gathering the knowledge and then adopting a flexible and balanced approach to eating the carbohydrates. So you take the knowledge and then you turn it into action by living it in your life, right? And that knowledge creates the foundation for lasting health. It creates the foundation for resilience, which is really important. And it helps you steer clear of the pitfalls that are associated with extreme dietary restrictions like keto. And those pitfalls basically are being, I haven't eaten a carb in 3 months, and then I went to Safeway and ate the whole cake, right? So they can be really extreme, our reaction to the restrictions over the long term. We want to steer clear of that. So how do you get the information? How do you incorporate it into your life? Well, you have a couple options here. You can work with me. I work one-on-one with people. If you want to know more about that, comment one-on-one in the comments. But I also have a short, informative course that's going to help you eat the carbs, okay? If you're not ready to work one-on-one, that's totally fine. Everyone at their own pace. But Eat the Carbs, the short course, provides you with the knowledge you need to know carbohydrates, so what they are, how they actually impact your body, and how you can eat them and enjoy them, even a donut from time to time, and still feel great. Okay, it is possible. So that's what this course is all about. I'm going to leave in the comments, I'm going to leave the link for the course. I'm also going to give you guys, for watching to the end, remember I said there was a prize if you watch to the end. So because you watched this video to the end, I'm going to give you a coupon code. So you can get $10 off the course. That makes the course only $17. So for $17, you can get this course on how to eat the carbs, how they impact your body, everything you need to know about carbs, and the process that I use to help people introduce carbs into their lives in a way that works. It's a whole process I use with my one-on-one clients. It's in the course. So if you want all that for only $17, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you regularly $27. I'm going to give it to you for $17. Check the comments. The coupon code is there. The link for the course is there. All you have to do is sign up for it. And then, of course, if you feel like you do want the one-on-one support, if you need more than a course and you need someone there cracking the whip at you maybe, I don't actually use whips, then comment one-on-one in the comments below and I'll help you out. Okay, so that's everything that I know about the keto diet, my experiences with it, and my opinions on it. So I hope that you found it helpful, and if you want to know more about eating carbs, then sign up for that course, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.